From WBAZ Radio, it's Interview with the Artist with Walker Vreeland.
Okay, it's officially summer. It's July. We have passed the summer solstice, and the 4th of July is fast approaching. This is our hard-rockin' Americana 4th of July music. Is it too much? It might be too much. Yeah, it's too much. Let's change it. Let's pull it. Good, we're pulling it. There. See, this is much more appropriate for today's show. So, anyway, thank you for being with us. I am your host, Walker Vreeland. Before we get to today's episode, we have some great shows coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next week, we have comedian Sue Costello on the show. And then the week after that, or the week after that, Betty Buckley will be back on the show, and we are so excited about that. Betty Buckley is coming out here this summer to star in the Hamptons' very first production of Grey Gardens the Musical. It's being produced at Bay Street Theater in Sag Harbor, directed by Michael Wilson, and starring Betty Buckley as Big Edie and Rachel York as Little Edie. It's going to be... You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be an event. So stay tuned for that. Betty Buckley back on Interview with the Artist. If you like the show, please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And that way, you know, every week when there's a new episode released, it's just automatically downloaded to your computer or your phone or your tablet. You don't even have to think about it. Actually, if you're listening right now on the Interview with the Artist website, right below the player, where you click play, there's a link that says click here to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. So it's right down there. It's right below us. Okay, so today on the show, Van Hansis. He's an actor and director and producer. And we go back. I've known Van for almost 20 years. And he's someone I hold very dear. Van is best known for playing Luke Snyder on As the World Turns for 6 years. He and Jake Silberman, who played Noah Mayer, were the first gay couple, super couple, on daytime TV. They shared the first gay male kiss on daytime TV. They had the first gay male sex on daytime TV. And Van is here today because he is producing and directing and starring in a new series called Ms. Guidance, as in Ms. MS period Guidance, Ms. Guidance. And I'm going to let Van tell you what the show is all about, but I will tell you this, that it takes place, it's set at a school for the arts. A school for the arts that is based on, or not really based on, but inspired by Walnut Hill School for the Arts in Natick, Massachusetts, where Van and I both went, which is how we know each other. So, Walnut Hill, it's actually a boarding school for the arts, and I've talked about Walnut Hill on the show before. My time there was life-changing, as it was for Van, as it is for most people who go there. They were truly some of the best years of my life, and the people I met there, the friends I made there, are my best friends, my lifelong friends, my people. Now, Van wasn't really in my circle of closest friends only because of our difference in age. He's younger than I am. He was a freshman when I was a senior. And but we knew each other, and we did shows together. And I just remember he was always smiling, always very sweet. He was a little shy back then, but everyone loved Van Hansis, and people still love Van Hansis. And in fact, now a lot of people love Van Hansis. Now Van has fan sites. Now there's that kind of love happening for Van Hansis. So I have followed his career, his TV career, and I continue to follow his career, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm so excited for him and for this new project, his new project, Ms. Guidance. So we're going to pick up this interview right at the very beginning, the moment he picks up the phone, so you can hear some of our backstory and how we know each other and what we remember. And I think that you will enjoy it. So here it is, my conversation, my interview with actor and director Van Hansis. Van.
Hi, Walker. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to hear from you.
I know. It's so nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a long time. I can't even remember the last time I really saw you in person.
Well, you did a one-man show downtown years and years and years ago that I saw at the dance studio.
Yeah, you came to this crazy little off Broadway thing. I think it was at the Duplex. I think you came to that.
Yes, I did go to that. I did go to that.
I'm so excited that you're doing my show. I've been so looking forward to it.
I'm so excited to do it as well.
Now, let me ask you this. Where are you now?
I'm going right up. I just stepped outside to get a coffee. So
Okay,
I know
good.
It's a little bit loud, so
All right.
I'm going right up into my apartment.
Fabulous.
Where it's quiet.
Great. So I think for the sake of transparency, what's the expression? Full disclosure? I think we should explain how we know each other.
All right.
We went to high school together. We went to a boarding school for the arts called Walnut Hill. And I think you were a freshman when I was a senior, right?
Yes, that's indeed the case. And I was in the ensemble when you played Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar. And that was like my first big show at Walnut Hill, and it was so exciting. And I remember, like, your whole crew of seniors were like the coolest kids in school, and you were all very nice to me. So that made me feel like, you know, an apostle of the coolest kids in school. And I just remember that. I think we got to know each other during that show, and I remember, you know, just being a freshman at a performing arts school and seeing these seniors who, you know, at that point were like stars because we were always doing shows, and, you know, seniors obviously get cast most in them. You know, I saw you do, I operated the soundboard for I Hate Hamlet. You were the lead in that, and then you were Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar, and so you seemed like, I don't know, you seemed like Tom Cruise or something.
Oh my God. So recently I went back because I have all these home videos from Walnut Hill, and I have one of these home videos it's backstage during I Hate Hamlet. And Susanna, my friend Susanna, who I think stage managed that show, I
think she did too.
Yeah, she had my camera, and she was just running around backstage, and she goes into the green room, and you're lying on the couch in the green room. And you're a freshman. You're like little Van Hansis on the couch, and you're reading. And she says, "What's up, Van the Man?" And you're like, "Just reading." And she says, "What are you reading?" And you hold up the book, and it's The Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, I really, like, my freshman year, I really thought I was holding Caulfield. It was, you know, in retrospect, it's kind of embarrassing, but I still love that book to this day. But I think that was probably a lot more of me trying to look cool reading The Catcher in the Rye, because I had to read that when I was in 8th grade, so I was, I guess, ostensibly rereading it. I was probably just rereading the same sentence, like hoping somebody would ask me what I was reading.
It was an adorable moment.
Hi, Van the Man.
Hi.
How you doing? Good. Did you do your sound check? What you reading? Ooh, I like that book.
So, Van Hansis, you are joining us today to talk about your new show. It's called Ms. Guidance, and it's a new web series that you are producing and directing and starring in. And it takes place at a boarding school for the arts, kind of like Walnut Hill. So tell us what the premise of Ms. Guidance is.
Okay, so Ms. Guidance is a show about a woman named Jenny Bump who went to a performing arts boarding school in her youth, and then she was an actress there, and went to Juilliard for college, and everything, you know, was supposed to go great for her. She was very talented. She was very beautiful. All the cards were stacked in her favor, except the fact that she has a huge sense of entitlement and very little work ethic. So 10 years after graduating Juilliard, but her resume is still pretty much the same as she left college, she has a nervous breakdown on stage in New York City and is kind of excommunicated from the theater world in New York. And with nowhere left to turn, she returns home to Loch Hill School for the Arts, the performing arts boarding school she attended in her youth, to act as the interim guidance counselor. But Jenny always saw her name in light, and I think for any performer, that's kind of a hard dream to give up. So being back on campus and listening to the dreams for students really only makes her dreams, even bigger. And soon she's meddling in everybody's lives, scheming for fame, and she's walking a fine line of destruction, I would say.
Well, the fact that she gets a job as a guidance counselor is in and of itself hilarious because she's the worst guidance counselor. And
she's absolutely unfit for her job, and I think a lot of the humor comes from that.
Yes, definitely.
You played Lady Macbeth last year.
We used real blood. Mr. Pistol's idea.
I played Juliet my freshman year. We used real poison. It was dangerous, but everyone survived, thank God.
Well, in this show, and you were kind enough to send me the first 3 episodes, but there's a lot of backroom politics and scheming and shenanigans that take place among the faculty. And I think I can confidently say that part is imagined for dramatic purposes and for the sake of the story.
Yes, that part is completely imagined. And I want to make that completely clear. I think teaching is one of the most noble professions, and I have been blessed to have some amazing teachers, a lot of them at Walnut Hill, a lot of the same teachers you had there, and then in college and even, just in my local community theater. And so for me, while the show it takes place in a similar school to where we both went to high school, the characters are fully fictional and not based on, pretty much everybody would be fired
right,
for the way they act. So it's a different, the world of misguidance is a different world than necessarily the one that we all live in. And in no means is this a comment on any teachers I've ever had throughout my career. The teacher, the head of the drama department at Loch Hill in my show, his name is Pistol, and he has a deep history with Jenny because they were both students there. And she actually ended up getting him expelled, and he lost his scholarship to college because of that. But he's back on campus as the head of the drama department, and I think he's really found his calling in teaching and in his students. I think he does really care about his students and really cares about making theater for the community, which I think is very noble.
And his name is Julian Pistol?
Yeah, his name is Julian Pistol. He goes by Pistol, like a gun. Yeah,
it's such a great name.
I just on a side note, I'm obsessed with the names in this show, and also for full transparency, my character in the show is named Walker Pate.
Yes, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I promise you. But even the characters that are somewhat vicious and backstabbing, you love them because they're so funny. Some of them behave so poorly that you can't help but laugh at them, and that's really, wouldn't you say that's all part of the absurd or camp element of the show?
Yes, I would definitely say that's a huge part of it. The show is incredibly absurd and incredibly fast-paced and campy and fun. And, I grew up in my career doing soaps, so I know camp. And that definitely plays into it. So there's a lot of really, funny campiness. And I think that, any show about theater artists probably has a lot of that because, as a profession, we're probably a lot more campy than, say, your average dental hygienist.
Oh, for sure.
So there is a lot of, camp sensibility and fun to the show. And
not to mention, theater people, most of them are inherently crazy. And
I would say that's true.
A little bit unstable. So, the drama and the comedy is sort of built in. So let me ask you this, Van. What made you want to tell this story? Or first, no, let me ask you first. What is this show really about?
For me, Misguidance is really about, as a young artist, your dreams. And as you grow up, what happens to them. And being an actor or being an artist is a really hard career. And, you know, I'm not playing a million little violins on my shoulder right now, but it's a very hard career. And I think that when you're a kid and you get into it just for the love of performing, for the love of being up on a stage and having people clap for you and saying these lines that somebody else wrote, it's so much fun, and you fall in love with it. And if you get bitten by the bug, you're bitten for life. Mm-hmm. And that never goes away. But then as you try to make it your career, you realize how much competition there is and how much of a need for validation you have, and how hard it is to kind of go through your career, and most of your career as an actor is being said no to. You know, you fall in love with a project and somebody else gets cast, and that's hard, and you have to get a really thick skin to deal with that. So for me, Misguidance is about, you know, what happens to that kid who holds up his or her hairbrush in the mirror, pretends it's an Oscar, and is giving their speech, when the realities of having bills to pay and credit scores and day jobs come into effect. And, you know, what would happen to somebody like Jenny, who just assumed everything would go fine, so therefore has not, you know, built any defenses into her psyche. So that's really about where it is. Because I also think that if you're an actor, there is the community as a whole thinks they can define you as a success or a failure just by how well known you are. You know what I mean?
Or what you've done.
Or what you've done, yeah. Or there's just, if you say I'm an actor, there's an assumption that you're really, you know, a bartender or something like that, which is kind of that does a lot to you. Like, I'll tell people I'm an actor, and they'll be like, "Oh, poor you," and I'm like, "No, it's not poor me. You know, you don't know me. You don't know what I've done. Right? You don't know my career, but because I'm not famous or something, or people think that that's inherently being unsuccessful, and right. I don't think there's other careers where, if, you know, again, going back to dentists, if somebody were to say I'm a dentist, I wouldn't say, oh, poor you, because I don't know if you're a good dentist. I don't know if you've won any dental awards. I don't know if there are dental awards. But I would be surprised to hear if there were dental awards. I'm sure there's like some association of dentistry that you can, you know, be named top dentist and something or other. But
let me say this: there should be.
We should make some, Walker, if there's not, for all the dentists out there.
Let's do it.
But what I'm saying is that everybody has a point of view on you if you are a performer, in a way that if you have a job that doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't have a way of registering your success at your career, people don't focus on that as much. Yeah, and it's frustrating when other people try to define what it means to be an actor. Exactly. And I think a lot of people do that. And I think that as an actor, you've got to define that for yourself. And you've got to define your own levels of success. Because if you're comparing yourself to other actors, if you're comparing yourself to celebrities or whatever, you're just going to torture yourself. Sure. The best advice I ever got was comparison is a form of torture, and it's true. Oh, it's the devil in disguise. Exactly. And I think that especially for people who become actors, I think there is lots of times a need for acceptance, or a need for people to like you. And I think that's why kids get up on stage and love the applause and love performing. I think initially it's because it's fun, because you're good at it, and because people accept you as that. And so as you grow up in the career and as you grow older in the career, it's really finding your own way to define your own success and to feel comfortable with who you are. And with Jenny Bump, she can't do that. She doesn't have that fortitude inside of her. And like I said, the humor comes out of her desperately wanting something that she doesn't know how to get. And I think that's also, where the drama comes from. Because although the show is very fast and funny, I think underneath it all, it is looking at the major question of how do we define success for ourselves, and how do we find happiness with wherever life takes us.
And also how deeply insecure so many people are, regardless of their level of success.
Exactly. I read some interview with Cate Blanchett, and she was like, after every audition, I feel like I'm never going to work again. I'm like, but you're Cate Blanchett. You're a god,
right?
So I don't think it's a feeling that goes away. And I think instead of trying to force it away, you just have to accept it, and you have to accept that's part of who you are as an artist.
So what made you want to tell this story?
Well, as we both talked about, we went to Walnut Hill School for the Arts in Natick, Massachusetts. And for me, that's the most transformative time of my life, being at that school. It was wonderful, and it shaped who I am to this day, going forward. But one thing about it is it's such a unique experience, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Being at a performing arts boarding school is so unique. In the fact that the world itself is so different. We didn't have jocks, really. We didn't have the normal archetypal types that you see at high school. We had dancers, we had visual artists, we had creative writers, we had all of these kids who maybe would have been picked on in a normal school. We had them all come together and form a community.
Yeah.
And I think that being a part of that community was so amazing to me, and it's something that I reflect on a lot. And it's a world that I really haven't seen on television before, even in shows like Glee or something like that.
Right, because they're depicting the archetypal high school in Middle America.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's, another thing I love about this show is that it brings to light not just what it's like to be a theater kid, but to be in this very safe, nurturing environment where everyone is free to be themselves completely. I mean, like you said, it's this community of would-be outcasts. And, when you're in that kind of an environment, you begin charting your course and you begin to sort of sketch out in your imagination what your future will look like. And then you go into the world and your life turns out to be nothing like what you thought it would. I mean, for some it does, but for few. And, that's something that I don't know if that's ever been depicted before. I'm not sure if that's a story that's been told until now, which is what you said.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to tell that story. And I think you hit the nail on the head of what happens when your life doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to. And I think that although Misguidance focuses specifically on actors and artists who are grappling with that question, I think it's universal in the sense that most people, what they said they were going to be when they were 16, when they're 32, 33, 34, or older even, it's probably not that, or it's some variation of that, or it is that, but you've had to fight so hard to get that.
Yeah.
And so so being at a place like Walnut Hill and having that as kind of like the backdrop for my adolescence and who I decided I was going to be going forward, it was the idea of a character who didn't have, I think, the fortitude that a lot of us do and the strength that a lot of us do. She just kind of assumed that because she was a star in high school, she'd be a star forever.
Right.
So it's kind of like the stories of like the high school jock who ends up never leaving town and gains 40 pounds and marries a cheerleader, and his life isn't at all what he wanted it to be. But instead of that, it's our lead actor who, she comes back and her life isn't what she wanted it to be, so she returns to the last place that she felt celebrated at. but she returns kind of thinking that it'll be the same when she was 16, but now she's the one who's supposed to be nurturing and supposed to be guiding the next generation, and she is not equipped to do that at all.
Right. And I think whether you're an artist or not, that's the part you can relate to. Like you said, especially if you have a lot of success in high school, that's a little bit of a double-edged sword in a way. When you have great success when you're young, it's such a high. And then, at least it was for me, being a student at Walnut Hill was that place had such a profound impact on all of us. And to be there and to be successful there, which I think I was and I think you were, that's such a high. In some ways, I've been trying to chase that high ever since.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. I also just wanted to make a show that celebrates the uniqueness of going to a performing arts school and the uniqueness of that world. In the students, there's a character who's just called Weird Russell, who he's just weird, and he's not an outcast by any means. He's completely adjusted in the world of the school, but he's just weird, and everybody loves him for it. And I think, in our show, there's so many different types of characters, but they're all creative. And I think it's very rare to find a place that is populated by creative people. And so I really wanted to make a show that it's not like there's one character who's the wacky artist like Phoebe Buffet and Friends. It's like a school full of Phoebes.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
You're listening to Walker Vreeland. Follow Walker on Twitter @WalkerOnRadio.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with actor and director Van Hansis. So, Van, I'd love to talk about your life a little bit and the career that you've had as an actor, and then we can come back to Misguidance. So what did you expect when you started out? What was the career that you thought you were going to have, and how did that compare to the career that you've actually had so far?
Well, I don't know if it's just a blessing or a lack of, I don't know what the word would be, but I've never tried to micromanage my career and map out my career.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Carnegie Mellon School of Drama, and shortly after that, I got cast on a soap opera, As the World Turns, and I spent years on the soap. I think I was there almost 6 years, 5 years maybe. I don't remember at this point. And so that was like kind of right out of the bat. I got cast on a show, and I was on a show for 5 years, and that was wonderful and amazing. But I didn't realize at the time that that's really rare. It's rare in this career to have a job that lasts even 3 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to have 5 years of that was really a blessing. But then when that show ended and I was kind of thrown into the real world of it, I realized how much of a blessing that was, and how much hard work this industry is.
You played Luke on As the World Turns, Luke Snyder.
I did.
And you and Jake Silberman, who played
Noah Mayer,
became the first and I believe only gay male couple on daytime television. What did you learn from doing As the World Turns?
Well, just in a macro level, I guess, I learned, I kind of looked at it as my grad school. I was there for years, and, working on a soap is a lot of work. Like, my biggest day, I remember, I had, I think, 42 pages in one day, and a lot of those scenes I had to be, like, breaking down and crying in. So, we had a day to do that. So you work so quickly on soap operas, and you get, we would shoot an episode and a half a day, basically. So,
wow.
You'd have days where you had, 30, 40 pages, and you would just have to plow through that and do a good job with it. There's never a luxury of time in shooting anything, is what I've come to realize there's never enough time. No project I've ever done was like, okay, we've got extra time. Let's figure something else out to do. You're always just hustle, 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 go. But specifically on soaps, I mean, it's so much material. So it really, it forces you to be on your A game.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran into Reg Addington today. From school? Was he with Tony? No, they broke up. Actually, it's kind of weird. He asked me out. Reg did? What'd you say? What do you expect? I said that I wasn't available. I mean, I'm not, am I? What kind of break are we talking about here? I don't know. It's whatever kind we need. Well, for the record, Noah, I don't need a break from you, so what are you saying? What? You what? You can't even give me an explanation about where we stand?
I don't know. Yes, it's still the same with me. I still need a break. Is that what you want to hear?
Yes. Yes. When I ask my boyfriend how he feels about me seeing other guys, that's exactly what I want to hear.
I don't want to tell you what to do if that's what you want.
If it's what I want, well, what about what you want? Do you want to see Reg wearing that t-shirt? You want to see us walking around campus arm in arm? Because that's what you're asking. And you know what, Noah? I know from experience that it sucks. And it hurts.
Is doing a retake rare on a soap?
Yeah, it would be pretty rare. Sometimes, and this is a soap secret, if you knew that your performance wasn't where you'd want it to be, you would mess up a line on purpose, and you'd break character because they would have to go back to the top of the scene to do that.
Uh-huh.
But that was rare. You didn't want to do that. I mean, I remember one time there was this actress, Jen Landon, who's an awesome actress, and she played a character named Gwen. So it's Jen and Gwen. And I remember at one point I said Jen instead of Gwen to the character, and they kept that scene. Anyways,
they kept it in.
They kept, I was calling the character by her actress's name. But since they kind of rhymed, they just figured that,
amazing.
That nobody would notice.
So what made you decide, I mean, when the show ended, when As the World Turns ended in 2010, what inspired you to start producing and directing?
For me, the thing that kind of, in a way, was my come to Jesus moment was I got cast on this web series called Eastsiders, which was created by Kit Williamson, who's absolutely amazing and, really such an inspiration of mine. I played his boyfriend on the show. He's in it and created it, and it's a wonderful show. The first season is on Hulu right now. Check it out.
It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I slept with him. And the day that I ended things, after you knew. And I know I should have told you.
Just once more for old time's sake? What?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. And I look back on it, and it feels like it wasn't even me.
And we just shot the second season last fall, and I think some really good stuff's happening for it, which I'm not at liberty to discuss at the moment. But seeing Kit, who I think at one point he described creating Eastsiders as a birthday gift to himself. He was like, you know what I want to do this year? I want to create something. I want to create a TV show, and he did it. And that was kind of like an aha moment of, I'm an actor. Acting will always be my first passion, but the acting is such a career of it's like a pick me career. Like you keep raising your hand, being like, pick me. I have the answer. And lots of times you don't get picked. And you've got to deal with that. And you've also got to realize that, especially in this day and age, when you have the internet, when you can film on really, really amazing cameras for relatively cheaply.
Yeah.
You have everything at your hands to create your own work and to get your work out there and to tell the stories that you want to tell. With, all of these platforms on the internet now, it's kind of like the early days of indie filmmaking. It's new and it's exciting, and I watching Kit do this, and then seeing how successful it was, I was like, the only thing that's keeping me back from doing this is myself, and I want to do this.
Yeah.
So let's do it. And so I did it, and Misguidance is, the thing that I am most proud of in my career, because it's the first story that I've thought of and that I'm telling.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to be an actor, but it's really great to be able to realize that you can be more.
I just think it's really empowering to create your own work, because you're not dependent on, external forces to make it happen, and you're putting something brand new into the world, and you're you're shaping your own destiny. I know that it sounds dramatic to say it that way, but there's something really empowering, I think. I mean, haven't you found that as well?
Oh, completely empowering. I remember, so we privately funded the first 3 episodes and shot them last summer at Walnut Hill School of the Arts. I remember we were really blessed by having, we shot for about 2 weeks. I think we had 12 days of shooting there. And every day was beautiful and sunny and gorgeous, and there was no rain. And so everything worked out perfectly, which is really, really rare on a set, as far as like dealing with weather. But there was this one day when we had all ordered lunch, and we were sitting, there's this huge, beautiful porch on one of the buildings at Walnut Hill, this building called Elliott. And we were all sitting on Elliott, the cast and crew, and we were eating our burritos. And I was just like, I just remember looking out over everybody, and I was so struck. I was like, there's like 25 people here eating burritos because I created something and they liked it and they wanted to be a part of it. And that's so humbling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so exciting, and it's so freeing to know that, oh yeah, I can create something that people will like.
And you've got an all-star cast. I mean, your cast is
and we have an amazing cast.
What was it like to be back there, and not just be back there, but to be shooting a series there? What was that like for you?
First and foremost, Walnut Hill has been absolutely amazing in, helping Misguidance come to life. They opened up the school to us. They let us shoot there. They gave us pretty much free reign to where we wanted to be and where we had to shoot scenes. They were absolutely amazing. So to be back there and to be there as an adult, and to, as I mentioned, Walnut Hill was a transformative part of my life, and to be back there and to have them embrace so wholeheartedly the show that I created was really, really, it felt great. It was really outstanding. And just to be back on campus, I mean, it's such a beautiful campus.
Yeah.
And I think that at least for me, when I was a kid there, I had no idea how pretty it was. I think that, when you're a teenager, you don't really think, oh yeah, my school campus is absolutely gorgeous. But,
yeah.
We went to do some location scouting, and I brought my amazing co-director, Melody Fisk, and our director of photography, Daryl Pittman, up, and they were both dumbfounded with how beautiful the campus was. And and then so everybody who I brought there, the whole cast and crew, everybody was just amazed, just by the physical beauty of it, but also the kindness of everybody at that school. So to be back there and to shoot at a place that I love so much, and also for it to just be such a beautiful place to shoot. Like, we didn't have to do really any set decoration because everything just looks great there.
Yeah.
And looks great on camera.
Now, were there students there at the time of your shoot?
Yes, there were. They had summer programs going on.
Okay.
And the students were all great to work with. Some of them were extras in certain scenes. It's great seeing, it really brought me back to being a young artist myself. And it was, it's so exciting to see.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with actor and director Van Hansis. I just want to tell you what it was like for me to watch the show. Because, again, you sent me the first 3 episodes. And it was just surreal on so many levels. I mean, I screamed basically the whole time I was watching it. I watched it in this studio, and God knows what people thought was going on in here. I mean, they must have thought either I was having sex or being murdered, or maybe both at the same time. I mean, I had like such an overwhelming reaction to watching this. So tell me about the character of Walker. You emailed me a few years ago and you said, look, we're creating this web series. It's called Misguidance, and one of the characters we want to name Walker Pate, and Pate is my middle name, and you were very kind to clear it with me. But I didn't know that Walker would be such a pivotal character, much less one of the leading roles. I didn't know that Walker would be a soap opera star, a Nickelodeon, a sitcom star, and a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice winner.
Yes.
I didn't know that
he won 2 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. He will tell you.
And I did not know that you would be playing me.
Yes, I am. Well, you know what? You are a much better person than he is. So I won't say that I'm playing you, but I am playing your namesake.
You're playing my namesake, yes.
Yeah. So Walker is another alumni of Loch Hill School for the Arts, the same school that Jenny Bump went to, and he was there when she was a student there, along with Pistol, who I mentioned is now the head of the drama department there. And so Walker finds himself back on campus to give a scholarship to a senior acting student in his name. Walker left school and pretty quickly got cast on like a Married with Children type show called Part of the Family, which lasted for about 10 years, and like Married with Children, was a huge success. And so Walker's been living pretty much on his residuals since then, and is not aware that he has become kind of a joke in the Hollywood community.
Right.
He, like Jenny, has a very distorted sense of ego and sense of entitlement. But whereas Jenny's comes from kind of an unawareness of what it takes to make it in the industry, Walker's comes from the fact that he was so successful at such a young age. And I think when somebody, you see these kids who become incredibly successful, and then they all have breakdowns because you're being surrounded by people who are just saying yes to you. So Walker's has been living in a world that says yes to him constantly. And so coming back to the school, he's kind of unprepared for some of the stuff that happens at the school, and he's forced to kind of reevaluate his perception of himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's also just a really fun character to play because he's not the brightest crayon in the box. He's not an idiot by any means, but he's never really had to challenge himself as a human being because nobody else would challenge him. It's the same thing as if everyone says, yes, what you're doing is great, you don't have to look that deeply into yourself. So throughout this season, you'll see Walker, kind of taking more ownership of his life and looking a little deeper into himself to figure out, who he is and how he can succeed as well.
Well, you are a superstar, Van Hansis. And
you are, Walker.
In the 2 weeks leading up to this interview, I've gotten several emails from Van Hansis-related fan sites, and they all wanted to know about this interview, which was very sweet. It seems like your fans from your As the World Turns days are really devoted to you and also devoted to Walnut Hill, which is really nice. I mean, they know your story. They know you went there. I saw this video of your fans in Florida presenting you with an award. It was, I think, a commemorative brick for a Walnut Hill scholarship or something like that.
Yeah, in front of Kiter. You know how they have those bricks?
Yes.
Yeah, they got me one, which is really nice.
Yeah, it just seems like those who have been following you and know about your background will enjoy this show a lot. They'll enjoy getting a taste of part of you.
Yeah, I mean, my fans have been absolutely outstanding and supportive throughout the years, and really supportive in all of my different projects. I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I'm really excited to be able to share Misguidance with them and with everybody.
Well, today I've been speaking with actor and director Van Hansis, and he is currently running a Kickstarter campaign to raise money for his new show, Misguidance. And you can find that link. Van, what is the best way to find that link to support the show?
Well, if you go onto Kickstarter and type in misguidance, MS.guidance, the page will pop right up.
Okay.
Or on Facebook, we are Misguidance.
Yep.
You can look in on Facebook, look up Misguidance, and there'll be a page. And we constantly are linking up videos and new incentives. And then on Twitter, I'm Van Hansis1, the number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And on Instagram, I'm van.hansis.
Okay, well, please support this project. Find the Ms. Guidance Kickstarter page. They are also on Facebook. Just search for Ms. Guidance and donate whatever you can. $5, $10, $100,000, whatever you can do to support this this project would be much appreciated. How many more days do you have until the campaign? When does the campaign end?
We have 11 more days, and we have just under $10,000 to raise.
So what's the date that it ends? Because we're going to air this later this week, so that'll be less days, right?
It ends on the 10th of July.
Van, thank you so much.
Thank you, Walker. Let me know when you're in the city. We should get a coffee or something.
I would love that.
All right, Walker. Thank you so much.
Oh, my God. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Interview with the Artist comes to you from WBAZ Radio. Leave your comments and listen to past episodes on our website, interviewwiththeartist.com. Thanks for listening.